Adolphe Mudiki, said he's not aware of any bribery within his company. The former general manager of Sonora, Charles Motuk, who is currently in jail for mismanagement, said he never traded such deals with Glencore.
The question will be, who is therefore guilty? Barrister Akere Muna has insisted, saying, enough is enough. The government needs to act now with the glaring confirmation from Glencore. Activist Nelson Uchida reacts to Muna's flip-flopping. Like Bala, Akere Muna is the butterfly that thinks itself as a bird. Speaking French or romancing with francophones doesn't make you a francophone, because no matter how many years the stone stays in the river, it will not become a crocodile. Akere Muna wants to make a name for La République du Cameroon president, claiming he wants to fight against corruption, injustice between Glencore and some La République du Cameroon officials who were bribed with 7 billion francs CFA for oil from Indian, southern Cameroon's, not La République du Cameroon oil. He wants to behave as if La République du Cameroon owns southern Cameroon's oil.
If he could fight injustice, corruption, why not correct the injustice La République du Cameroon did on southern Cameroon, something his father admitted? Why should he be concerned with La République du Cameroon injustice without thinking of how his father sold southern Cameroon to La République du Cameroon? What is 7 billion CFA compared to what La République du Cameroon has benefited from selling Indian and southern Cameroon's oil?
Remember his father, who returned from the United Nations and admitted he made a mistake. We made mention of this, but we'll be right back to continue with the news right after this break.
Swiss-based mining giant Glencore will pay over $1 billion to settle bribe probes after its subsidiaries pleaded guilty in the UK, Brazil and the US. The US Department of Justice announced Tuesday the natural resource firm had entered a plea agreement to find bribery and market manipulation.
Glencore has agreed to pay approximately $700 million in penalties for its decade-long scheme to bribe foreign officials in 7 different countries.
According to the British Serious Fraud Office, bribes worth over $25 million were paid with Glencore's approval in Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast, Nigeria and South Sudan for preferential access to oil.
Glencore paid over $100 million in bribes to government officials in Brazil, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Venezuela. The bribery scheme here spanned the globe. Glencore paid bribes to secure oil contracts. Glencore paid bribes to avoid government audits. Glencore paid bribes to judges to make lawsuits disappear. Why did Glencore do it? They did it to make money, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they did it with the approval and even the encouragement of top executives.
The settlements come 4 years after the U.S. Department of Justice launched a probe into Glencore's compliance with American money laundering and corruption laws. In 2019, the UK's anti-fraud body started investigating one of Glencore's UK subsidiaries over suspicions of bribery in Africa.
Ambazonian-born lawyer, barrister Amba Eric, elected bar president, and Ambazonians feel betrayed.
Barrister Amba Eric has been elected new president of the Cameroon Bar Council. He was elected today, Monday, June 20th, 2022 in Yaoundé.
Amba Eric becomes the country's 13th bar president. It takes over from late barrister Chakut Pati. This is a high portfolio, Why are Ambazonians vexed? Let's take you down memory lane on what was described the Anglophone dilemma in Cameroon. The lawyers began a general strike in October 2016 and formally created the Cameroon Common Law Bar Association, CCLA, on November 4th. After the earlier protests, the colonial government officials in the historically southern Cameroons banned some lawyers' association and imposed restrictions that contra nocendi challenges or clear human rights violation.
Anglo-Saxon lawyer protects in 2016 reflected wider social injustice. The lawyers' inspired demonstrations escalated in Bamenda and across the entire southern Cameroons within a very short time. There were rounds of clashes that erupted between forces of occupation and the lawyers' group, teachers, and citizens joining them who demanded changes to the historic Anglophone system. The violent demonstrations followed protests in early November 2016 in the cities of Bamenda, Bui, and Victoria, according to Contra Nocindi, a human rights organization investigating the earlier clashes.
In a statement issued in 2016, the group described intimidation and harassment of lawyers who say they want to ensure equal access and treatment in Cameroon's common law courts rather than supporting a system they say is failing. Those calls resonated with teachers who saw similar disparities in Cameroon's educational system and joined the protest, as well as angry citizens with wider social grievances. The tensions between colonial administration and the southern Cameroon's minority have existed for decades. At times, it led to calls for complete independence. For the 2 years, that's from 2016 into 2018, lawyers from southern Cameroon's common law community sought after to address perceived marginalization in the courts and what they say is interference with the Anglo-Saxon system of law. You would want to ask, has that changed?
The answer is an emphatic no. Here is the provoking news. Barrister Amba has been elected as the new president at the Franco-Cameroon General Assembly of the National Bar Association of Cameroon, which has been held since Saturday, June 18, 2022 in Yaoundé. We are stronger together. My victory is a victory for the bar, Barrister Amba said after his emergence as the new president of the association. Eric is an advocate at law from Momo County of the Midland Zones.
We are stronger together. Like seriously, what does he imply? Barrister Amba Eric emerged the new president of the Bouloubeti National Bar of Association of Cameroon with a purported democratic polling of 1,285 votes out of around 3,000 cast, while his major opponent, Barrister Memong Philippe, receives 969 votes. His appointment completed a process that included the election of 15 members of the Bar Council as well as the president of the Cameroon Bar Association's General Assembly. Barrister Claes Ives, Patrick Kouanou, and Vice President Barrister Bakar Ernest Acho, it is reported that the new executive has a 2-year term limit.
It is worthy to highlight that Ambazonians have not taken this calmly. A certain individual thinks that the government spokesman, Dr. Mungwa, should come out immediately to inform the world on the stand of the interim government concerning the election of the so-called Anglophones lawyer as president of Cameroon Bar Association. To amplify his frustration, he said, and I quote, "This event is the most painful and the highest betrayal in the history of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. These lawyers are the people who started the ongoing war in Ambazonia. They initiated the death of the close to 40,000 men, women, and children. Today, they are with the same government. They told us to destroy our country, our future, and everything." This is quite touching, stir. What do you think?
Well, I think it is not just touching but heartbreaking to see how these lawyers, learned comrades, could be so self-centered. Again, to express his frustration this time, the same individual said, These people, the lawyers, must be declared openly as enemies to the people. Tomorrow when we get Ambazonia, they will want to be magistrates and lawmakers in Ambazonia. We must declare a death warrant to all lawyers, be it my brother or sister who is a lawyer, is an enemy and partaker of the bloodbath of our people. I raised my case. That's how he ended. Only I understand the barrister team in Besea reacted right immediately after that.
Oh yes, in his holistic manner, Barrister Timothy Mbeshia wrote in response, and I quote, "My brother, I think history doesn't forget things. It used to shape the future. No doubt that lawyers and teachers started the struggle in 2016. Agbobala and Ayamba were presidents of the FACO and Meme Lawyers Association, respectively. Niba Fontem got there because of his connections with the University of Bui, Teachers Union. Of course, Deacon Tatsang was the leader of the Cameroon Teachers Trade Union. Many things have changed dramatically since 2016. As predicted by the so-called La République du Cameroon Minister of Justice, the lawyers have since gone back to the court, led by no one else than Agbobala."
He continued by saying, "To make a bad situation worse, there is no visible evidence that the lawyers are collectively and pro bono defending the victims of savagery that has been unleashed on the population. The so-called election of the president or Batonia has nothing to do with Ambazonia. The individual or individuals concerned know that they are being elected to work for La République du Cameroon. The name Cameroon bar speaks for itself. We're Ambazonians, not La République du Cameroon. I don't think that it's something that our communications secretary should bother himself with. The Batonia is one of the 15 members that constitute the Bar Council. There are only 3 Ambazonians in the whole council. I think La République du Cameroon enhances just to provoke situations." Let's move on to the SU. Let's move on to SU right now.
The SU hospital is being used in its entirety by La République du Cameroon military as an accommodation, a camping ground, and an armory. This makes it clear that they do not have any regard for human rights and lives. We are yet to get over the pain they cost us all in Manfi. How again do La République du Cameroon deny involvement in the burning of the Manfi hospital? As we speak, they have escalated their invasion in Bui, considering the reports coming in from the Bui County Situation Room.
Today, Thursday, 23rd June 2022, at exactly 7 a.m. Amba time, the almighty Bui warriors gave La République du Cameroon terrorists stationed at the Sonel and prison yard in Tobin Kumpo local government area a rude awakening. Many terrorist elements were deleted and many more left to battle with life-threatening gunshot wounds. With the unprecedented deployment of mass numbers of La République du Cameroon terrorist forces in Bui, our able and capable almighty Bui warriors have promised the civilian populations that they will handle the terrorists anytime, anywhere. Bui remains the land of no return for any La République du Cameroon terrorist elements sent there.
We continue to call on all Ambazonian people, friends and well-wishers, lovers of the sublime ideals of justice, freedom, peace, liberty, and independence to continue to support our Bui warriors so that they can continue to fight these terrorists until they capitulate and leave our territory. The SU hospital is being used by La République du Cameroon military as an accommodation. This follows a close to 3 years occupation of the pediatric ward by these same armed forces who ransacked the hospital, carted away with laboratory equipment, medications, other valuables, and after killing the hospital watchman with a gunshot at close range, set all the patients and health personnel on their heels. It should be recorded that medical equipment were donated from Isu's sons and daughters at home and abroad. On Saturday, 18th June 2022, after a gun battle that left some casualties, these military gendarmes harassed patients and medical personnel and took monies from the patients without any regard for the international humanitarian law on medical neutrality during armed conflicts.
This has left the health personnel with no other option and for security threats than to leave the hospital. The entire Esu Fondom and surrounding villages that benefited from the medical services are therefore left without basic medical care. When asked why they've chosen the hospital as an accommodation, one of them anonymously stated that their office is not well secured or located to fight against Amazonian restoration forces, reasons they've taken over the hospital. The Red Cross that had started a project in this hospital a few weeks ago are withdrawing their staff, materials and procedures because of security threats posed by the presence of the military. The Esu community, on their part, have done everything for the military to leave the hospital, but all what they get in response are further intimidations, sexual assaults, rapes of females, unwanted pregnancies and looting of their goats, chickens and pigs.
We call on the AU, UN, EU, HRW, USA, and the UK to help us from being annihilated using any available means because we are endangered people. The Bowie County is requesting for your help, for sustenance, and for backup. Please kindly make your contributions via Bowie County payment options. You could use PayPal at iambiv@hotmail.com USA. That is iambiv@hotmail.com USA. Money Utal, that is MONYUYTA @hotmail.com Europe. Cash App, hashtag Bowie County NFP. Zelle donations at bowiecounty.org. Thank you for your support.
We are all aware that Fawn had disappeared and his son enthroned. In our editorial of today, we will focus on this new enthronement, and our perspective is captioned, "The Kingdom of Mankan Gets a New Fawn King." When the Fawn king of the Mankan village, Fawn Ndefru Ngwafa III, disappeared almost a month ago and reappeared on June 6th with the enthronement of a new fawn, a lot of celebratory gunfire from the men in reception of their new king was conspicuously absent. Historically, such events are punctuated with a lot of noise and shooting in the skies, but due to the ongoing Amazonian War of National Liberation, no such gunfire was witnessed. Having been banned by the colonial authorities in Yaoundé, being the very symbol of his people and kingdom, and assuming spiritual powers, the fawn or kings of the grass-field regions of Amazonia are considered to be immortal and therefore never die, but simply disappear to reappear during the enthronement process. According to barrister Joseph Fruawa, a Mankan notable, the fawn is the custodian of all land in Mankan. He is the very source of our cultural spring. He is the fountain of our spirituality. He is the bridge between the yesteryears, the here and now, and the aftertime. The new Fawn, King of Mancon, Fawn, His Royal Highness Fru Asa Ngwafa IV, was therefore enthroned at a time when many citizens of Mancon and the entire Ambazonian nation are involved in an armed struggle now to liberate our country from colonial occupation and annexation. It's in the midst of this devastating war that the enthronement of the recent paramount fawn in Mancon Mezem in the Great Midland state of Amazonia took place. The Mancon Confederacy, a branch of the wider Wirikum ethnic group of the Cameroons, was historically a powerful force in the grassfield regions of the southern Cameroons. The Mancon Fondom Kingdom, at the head of the Confederacy, included smaller fondoms like Mbatu, Nsongwa, Chomba, Njong, and Mundum, representing one of the oldest monarchies of the grassfield people of the southern Cameroons. The fondom is ruled by a fawn, a king, with rights to kinghood acquired by birth. The crowned fawn is usually a designated son of the deceased king, a child who was born on the leopard skin or during his reign. The Mancon Fondom proper has some 63 quarters and includes an urban area that is part of Bamenda. This village itself has a population of 18,800 persons. Being a great kingdom, the Mancon people waged one of the fiercest resistance to German incursions and colonial ambitions, fighting and defeating them in 2 wars, only to be subdued finally in 1901 by a combined German and Bali force, under the command of Eugene Zintgraft. The Mancon Fondom will continue to play an important role in the political development of the then United Nations Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroons. As Ambazonians celebrate the enthronement of the new fawn of the Mancon, the role of this important fondom in the struggle for the independence of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, must never be forgotten. Enthroned in 1959, 2 years before the Southern Cameroons gained independence, Fawn Ngwafa III was involved in the negotiations that finally led to the granting of independence of the Southern Cameroons on October 1, 1961. Being one of the first fawns of the grassfields to have acquired a Western education and one of the founding members of the Southern Cameroons House of Chiefs, which lasted from 1960 to 1972, the disappeared fawn was one of those who helped shape the political evolution of the Southern Cameroons. Fawn Ngwafa III was to later on join the CNU and CPDM parties during the period of one-party rule, as well as during the later years when he became first vice president of the ruling CPDM party in Cameroon. However, the majority of his people were opposed to his collaboration with the Yaoundé regime, which they considered an annexationist and colonial regime. It must also be noted that some of the foremost leaders of the Ambazonian struggle hail from the Mancon. Meanwhile, according to age-old tradition, it took 3 long weeks for the Quifo, the secretive Supreme Council of Mancon kingmakers, to formally declare the disappearance of the king. People simply whispered phrases like, "There is smoke in the palace," and would not say anything publicly until the official announcement of the reappearance of the king by the kingmakers. While women are required to shave their heads as a sign of respect during this period, Mancon men are not allowed to wear caps as well. Once the announcement was made of the disappearance on May 29th, all farming and other such projects throughout the fondom were equally suspended. The mourning culminated on the 7th of June when tens of thousands of people turned up at the 300-year-old royal palace in Bamenda, a city with a population of 500,000 and the heartland of the Mancon. 63 years since the last enthronement, the people of Mancon, Ambazonia, and the world at large were witness to some important cultural practices marking the installment of a fawn in the grassfield regions of the Cameroons. Both women and men were dressed in skirts made from dried banana leaves, with the men bare-chested and the women having on black bras. Meanwhile, flanked by members of the Quifo, the new king, son of Fawn Ngwafa III, walked into the palace courtyard barefoot and bare-chested, with only a white cloth wrapped around his waist. The new king, seen holding a traditional stick, was introduced to his subjects. The crowd gently threw pebbles and small stones, grass and leaves at him in a symbolic ritual to show that this was the last time the people would be disrespectful towards him. As he was pelted, he sprinted away into the palace while his subjects walked to nearby streams to wash off the ash they had smeared on their bodies. As has been mentioned earlier, the Mankan Fondum is an important fondum in the Midland state and Amazonia in general. It's therefore important that the Mankan Fondum, like others, recognize that our people are engaged in an existentialist struggle with a genocidal occupier that threatens its own existence too. Hence, they should avoid any collaboration with the enemy who has not spared the kingdom in its brutal assaults on our people, characterized by the burning down of more than 100 villages across our country. Meanwhile, the interim government of Amazonia, headed by Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, extends her heartfelt congratulations to the great and brave people of the Mankan Fondum in the occasion of the appearance of their new fund. We equally caution our people not to be taken in by the charade called the House of Chiefs, recently cooked up in Yaoundé as a lame attempt to manipulate our traditional rulers into supporting their colonial, annexationist and assimilation policies towards our country. The disappeared fund was one of the founding members of the original House of Chiefs, which lasted from 1960 to 1972, with statutory powers to represent and defend the interests of our people. So while we share the glory of the Mankan people in the reappearance of their new fund, we also caution them to remember that we, Southern Cameroonians, Amazonians, are engaged in a struggle for our very existence, requiring the collaboration of all our people so that we can liberate and free our great country once and for all. In a free Amazonia, the House of Chiefs will be truly empowered to defend and uphold our great traditions and customs. This is the perspective of Undaunted ABC Amba Newsroom, and this is where we end today's editorial. You add your own idea by sending to us a message via our different platforms, and if you want to continuously enjoy more of such beautiful articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcambatv.com for more. Subscribe and become a club member today. Thanks. Today, once again, I would like to exceptionally take you through our payment methods so that you can be a part of this winning strategy. It's simple. ABC Amba TV payment channels, Cash App, telephone +1 240 486 8768, hashtag $Amba ABC, Zelle, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, telephone number +1 240 486 8768. PayPal, payments at abcambatv.com, UK bank accounts, account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, sort code 231470, account number 229908885, IBAN GB25TRWI 23147022990885. Europe account, account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BIC, TRWIBEB 1XXX. IBAN BE42967309341854. Australian bank account, account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BSB code 802985. Account number 211040023. Canadian bank account, account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, institution number 621, account number 20011028648. Transit number 16001. New Zealand account, account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, account number 04202101042037. Thank you for your donations. I am Star Smart and I'm reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba News.
And now to sports. The former Manchester United winger stepped away from his role in November 2020 after being arrested. Giggs was later charged with using controlling behavior and assaulting his ex-girlfriend, charges he has denied. Robert Page took over as interim Wales boss in Giggs' absence, leading them to a first World Cup finals since 1958. In a statement, Giggs said, "After much consideration, I am standing down from my position as manager of the Wales men's national team with immediate effect."
In his words, he says, "It has been an honor and a privilege to manage my country, but it is only right that the Wales FA, the coaching staff and the players prepare for the tournament with certainty, clarification and without speculation around the position of their head coach." The Football Association of Wales released its own statement following Giggs' announcement. It says, "The four places on record its gratitude to Ryan Giggs for his tenure as manager of the Cymru men's national team and appreciates the decision he has taken, which is in the best interest of Welsh football." It reads, "The full focus of the four and the Cymru men's national team is on the FIFA World Cup in Qatar later this year."
Former Wales captain, page 47, Giggs' assistant since August 2019, took charge of matches from November 2020. Gab Ellison has more.
Latest world sports. Ex-Manchester United winger Ryan Giggs resigns as Wales manager. The former Manchester United winger 48 stepped away from his role in November 2020. The former Manchester United winger 48 stepped away from his role in November 2020 after being arrested. Giggs was later charged with using controlling behavior and assaulting his ex-girlfriend, charges he has denied. Robert Page took over as interim Wales boss in Giggs' absence, leading them to a first World Cup finals since 1958. In a statement, Giggs said, "After much consideration, I am standing down from my position as manager of the Wales men's national team with immediate effect. It has been an honor and a privilege to manage my country, but it is only right that the Wales FA, the coaching staff and the players prepare for the tournament with certainty, clarification and without speculation around the position of their head coach." The Football Association of Wales released its own statement following Giggs' announcement. The FAW places on record its gratitude to Ryan Giggs for his tenure as manager of the Cymru men's national team and appreciates the decision he has taken, which is in the best interest of Welsh football, it read. The full focus of the FAW and the Cymru men's national team is on the FIFA World Cup in Qatar later this year. And former Wales captain page 47, Giggs' assistant since August 2019, took charge of matches from November 2020, leading Wales to top spot in their Nations League group. He continued to deputize for Giggs, who was appointed by Wales in January 2018. In March 2021, Wales kicked off their 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign. That would culminate in a famous playoff win over Ukraine in June 2022, booking a place at Qatar for Wales' first appearance at the World Cup finals in 64 years. Wales will play England, the United States and Iran in Group B, with their opening game against the USA on 21st November. Giggs added, "I do not want the country's preparation for the World Cup to be affected, destabilized or jeopardized in any way by the continued interest around the case. I am sad that we cannot continue this journey together because I believe this extraordinary group will make the country proud at our first World Cup since 1958. Rugby League. Transgender players banned from International Rugby League. Transgender players have been banned from women's internationals while Rugby League's governing body does further research on its inclusion policy. International Rugby League said it wanted to balance the individual's right to participate against perceived risk to other participants. Scotland Rugby League's Disability and Inclusion Director Mike Finn resigned from his post over the ruling. IRL has decided we are not to be an inclusive sport, he tweeted. He added that IRL had yielded to a campaign of hate. Solidarity with all trans people will be an ally always, Finn concluded. The IRL's move comes as a number of sports are considering transgender inclusion. Transgender swimmers were on Sunday banned from women's elite races if they have gone through male puberty. World Athletics President Lord Cole hinted the BBC that the sport could follow swimming's example, saying it is set to discuss adopting a new eligibility policy and that fairness is non-negotiable. The IRL said it had considered relevant developments in world sport in coming to its decision to ban male-to-female players until it had completed research on its final inclusion policy. The ban will apply to the World Cup in England in October, which involves teams from Australia, Brazil, Canada, Cook Islands, England, France, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
With a war raging and food prices soaring through their 10th Commonwealth Summit in Rwanda, Commonwealth heads of government meeting starts under shadow of UK's controversial Rwanda deportation plan. Rwanda is a brutal, repressive regime. Holding the Commonwealth Summit there is a sham. The Esso Hospital is being used in its entirety by La République du Cameroon military as an accommodation and an armory.
According to the Bui County Situation Report, today, Thursday, the 23rd of June 2022, at exactly 7 a.m. Amba time, the Bui warriors gave La République du Cameroon terrorist station at the Senel and prison yard in Toben Kumbo local government area a rude awakening. Today, we also told you that the elections of Ambazonian-born lawyer Amba into the Franco-Cameroon bar as president turns off Ambazonians. And in sports, ex-Manchester United winger Ryan Giggs resigns as Wales manager. And that was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing it to the news on top stories. On behalf of Michael Anchor Smart and the entire Undaunted news crew, we say thank you for tuning in. I am Oni Okbala.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. God bless you and good night.